Hey everybody, welcome again to another episode of Disability Landscape. I'm here with my partner, Mark Knutson, as usual. Mark,
We want to talk about
talk about it.
who is watching us. Where are you?
I hope somebody is.
Right. I hope so too. Not only who, but what's more importantly is we want to know where you are watching us from.
So if you're watching this on YouTube from, hey, Dubai, send us an email. Mark, where else could we find them?
The other areas that we're on a variety of community access studios. So for us to know which ones, all we really need is your channel number
Yep.
and the city. We can then put those two together and we know what community access system we are on. So this is a cheap version of Nielsen ratings.
Yeah, there you go.
This is DIY, do it yourself, Nielsen ratings.
And we also know how you like the show. If we do well,
Exactly. Any
write us
comments?
a note. If we really suck, we won't read the note.
Yeah, just be kind. So
So
on that note,
on that note, Mark, who do we have today?
yeah, today I'm going to let our guests, we've got two guests. Our first guest is,
Yeah, Gene Martinez. I'm the Legislative Advocacy Coordinator with the ARC Minnesota and also the coordinator for Rev Up MN.
All right.
okay,
Yeah, and I'm Jeru Gobeze. I'm the Advocacy Manager at Lutheran Social Service of Minnesota. And where LSS is a proud member of the Rev Up Coalition.
okay.
So you kind of work together on this program.
We
Yeah.
sure do.
Give us a little idea what Rev Up is.
Sure. Well, Rev Up, it stands for Register, Educate, Vote, Use Your Power.
Oh,
And it
okay.
was started in 2016 by the American Association of People with Disabilities, AAPD, which is a national civil rights organization for persons with disabilities. And the purpose is to increase the percentage of people with disabilities that vote and also their family member because, it's a huge voting block of millions of people
Right.
that have disabilities. And so it's just critical that the voices of people with disabilities are heard by candidates and that people exercise their right to vote. And it's, there's been some struggles along the way to get the right to vote, and there still are struggles now. So AAPD formed it in 2016.
Do you have a sense of how many disabled people are voting, like a percentage of all disabled people? Any idea of?
Well, I know in Minnesota, and
Okay.
this is data from 2020 by the Rutgers University. They have a division over there that kind of studies voting trends among people with disabilities. But in Minnesota, 76% of people with disabilities voted in 2020, which was only 4 points behind the 80% overall turnout that we had in the state. So that set a record.
Wow.
But in other midterms, like where we've had, I think the last 2018, the overall percentage in Minnesota was like 64% or something like that, which was still the highest in the nation.
Because
But the turnout of people with disabilities was just like in the low 50s. So we made a lot of impact in 2020, and we started Rev Up MN in 2018 because I noticed that there was no Minnesota affiliate for Rev Up, so I contacted them and they gave me the go-ahead to start organizing Rev Up MN.
Okay.
And so we had about 10 organizations at the end of 2018, and we sent out like some candidate surveys and did some, voter education and things like that. And then by the end of 2020, well, even now, 2022, we have 23 organizations that are part of Rev Up MN, and we've got provider organizations, advocacy organizations, a lot of the state agencies, like the Council on Disability and the Commission of the Deaf, Deafblind, and Hard of Hearing, and that sort of thing.
So Rev Up essentially isn't just an ARC of Minnesota organization. You're one of many
So
organizations.
it's kind of organically grown.
Yeah, yes.
Well, now, when encouraging people to vote and get out there, I mean, do you tell them the different options they have in voting, whether they vote by absentee or how to get to the polls and all that kind of thing?
Yes, we do. We had on July 21st, we had a virtual Zoom kind of town hall with Secretary Steve Simon and some of the staff from his office. So we reviewed everything related to registering to vote, all of the requirements around online voter registration or returning a paper form, and then went through all of the things related to early voting and whether that be requesting an absentee ballot. Now you can request an accessible absentee ballot, and then we also reviewed voting early in person, and then the polling place accessibility, and all of those requirements. So we just really gave people all the information that they would need to vote, like in the primary election. And there's been a few changes between 2020 and 2022, but that's a big part of what we do. And then on September 15th, Justin Page of the Minnesota Disability Law Center, we had another Zoom town hall, and he reviewed kind of the legal foundations of the right to vote for persons with disabilities and the requirements under the Americans with Disabilities Act and the Help America Vote Act, and how to navigate the system if there's problems when a person with a disability is trying to vote, and all of the accessibility supports that we have. And so, a large part of our program has been just educating people about the process for voting.
So, Jeru,
how does Lutheran services?
Yeah.
How does Lutheran social
works
service
into this?
What's your piece in this?
Yeah, so Lutheran Social Service of Minnesota is like one of the largest nonprofit social service organizations. We're in all 87 counties. That's why it's so, I'm so grateful to work with like Rev Up and the ARC, who's also working statewide.
But you got a big reach.
Yeah, we have a big reach and we take it seriously. So one of those, we have over 20 lines of service, and one of those is our disability services, and LSS is committed to supporting individuals in making their own decisions and living the life that they imagine for themselves. And most of that work is done by staff all across Minnesota. And I work in the advocacy office, and with like Rev Up and the ARC to like carry across that commitment on the policy and advocacy level. So we just really believe that nonpartisan voter outreach should be inherent with like all nonprofit providers, because we are this like trusted nonpartisan resource. We're already in these communities, and we have the opportunity to close the voter equity gap that Jean mentioned. Like the people we serve are more likely to be in the disability community, to be from lower incomes, to be people of color, and we do nonpartisan voter engagement work really all year round,
Okay.
Ben, and we're really ramping up now. So we help coordinate those events that Jean mentioned, and we do our own internal forums with the Secretary of State, and
Yep.
Okay.
we send out mailings. It's basically, we try to find out, just like we do with our services, trying to meet people and basically based on their specific strengths and needs, we do that as well in our advocacy work, just building advocacy capacity and connecting people to register, educate, and vote. And a big part of it's educating about their rights.
Okay.
Right, because all of Rev Up and all that you folks are doing is nonpartisan. The goal is to get out, make your voice be heard, and get your vote in. And being informed. That's very critical. So getting out there and getting that vote in.
So with, sorry, Mark.
Yep.
So with the 2020 election and the the pandemic at that time, was it more difficult to get people active? I know we had 76%, but do we know how they voted? Was it via the mail-in ballot or early voting? Is there any statistics on how they worked in that way?
Yeah, my understanding is that the majority of people with disabilities voted by mail in 2020, voted absentee. There were some special requirements for 2020 that aren't in place for 2022.
That's what I was just going to ask you about.
Yeah.
What has changed
What
because
has
of
changed?
that?
The biggest change is that in 2020, you didn't have to have a witness that saw you fill out the absentee ballot and then sign that your return envelope that said that they had witnessed you voting.
Recall that site because my wife and I both use the absentee or the mail-in, and I'm not sure what Mark did, but
Yeah, we did the absentee.
you did yours in crayon, though, I believe.
It still counted.
But yeah, there was the witness requirement was removed, and that's reinstated for 2022.
That is reinstated for 2022. So because the pandemic, I guess, is less and more people will be voting in person.
It's eased a lot. It's not gone, but it's eased.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In getting someone registered to vote, to help them do that, what are some of the requirements that are on that form? I mean, it's been years since I've done it, so.
For registering to vote, I've done a few already, like in community, registering people to vote, and it makes sure to go over like eligibility, your age, that you've lived there for I think 20 days, and then you're required to have your either driver's license
Or state ID.
Or the last four of your social security. Driver's license, state ID, and then if you don't have that on you and don't memorize it, I don't. You just need the last four of your social security number and your address.
And make sure you sign. You have to sign
and date.
What about the online process? Is that different in how you do it?
That's pretty similar. It goes through the exact same questions. But online, it's really nice because you can check also if you're eligible. You can check if you're already registered.
Sure.
I always share that website, mnvotes.org, because that has everything. Like you can check your polling place. It may have changed because of redistricting. There's a lot of resources.
Well, in our district, we were actually given mailed a postcard to let us know that our place of voting had not changed, our precinct. So But yeah, I understand in the last 2 years a lot of changes in where the precincts are and that. So it's nice that we're informed in that respect.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Now, what would be the mechanics for someone with a disability, let's say, if they were to go in person to vote, but they, need assistance, they don't have use of their arms and what have you. How does that work?
Well, I can talk about one option is curbside voting, where
Okay.
you don't even have to go in
Oh,
the
okay.
polling place, and you could have a person there, like in the car, that would help you mark the ballot, or
Also, curbside, they bring the vote.
yeah,
They
they
bring
bring
the
the
ballot.
ballot
They bring it-
out
okay,
to you
yep, okay, gotcha.
in your car, and a person of your choice could help you mark the ballot.
Oh, okay.
So that's one option. But if you can make it inside, again, either a person of your choice or a poll worker can help you.
So you can
fill
ask
out.
a
Yeah.
poll worker.
You can ask for assistance in
Yes,
that
you
regard.
can.
And if you bring someone with you, they can be allowed to help you fill out the ballot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's an important part. I don't think they want somebody that, somebody using their teeth to fill out a ballot, because it might freak out the other voters at the
Right.
time.
And you might need number 2 teeth or something.
Yeah,
But, in particular, a lot of blind people like to use a ballot marking machine.
Okay.
Ballot marking machines are at every polling station, and you use those, and they mark the ballot, and then they print out a ballot that looks just like
A regular-
anybody else's ballot, but it's got the
It's
voters'
electronically
choices.
marked.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But then it's counted the same way as any other ballot. So
Okay. Now, the ballot marking machine then, is that, I imagine it's verbal. It talks to the person filling.
yeah,
Is it, I mean, I'm not sure I want somebody at the ballot machine going, "Who do you want to vote for in the presidential race?" It's like, and if you have to answer it, and you answer quietly, and he goes, "Oh, you want?"
No.
No. I don't want to hear that.
yeah. Do they have headphones with the?
You would think they would have
ballot
either
marking machine?
headphones or
Yeah, some way
Yeah.
to make it more private.
Yeah.
to accommodate. And it's a little more interesting for me living out of the Twin Cities. I mean, in Jordan, it's they've gotten quite a bit better. I mean, we've been down there now for 30 years, and I think it took a while. I think it took a while to finally get a lowered
Table.
table to,
Sure.
a booth to do it. Otherwise, you just went to a regular table
Yeah.
and filled it out, which
Right.
wasn't that big of a deal. But it's like, come on, you could at least have a lowered, and they've caught up to the
Well,
times.
that should be an ADA requirement,
Yeah,
and then your precinct is out of step.
Yeah.
The precinct I've been voting at for the last 15, 16 years, it does have a lower table for people using wheelchair users.
yeah, with
to
the
have-
side things and all
Yeah,
that.
with
so,
the little blinder on it, and then you can
the
fill out your
blinders. Yeah,
ballot.
that's what I was trying to.
So I've noticed with at least my precinct, it's designed to be very accessible.
Yeah.
I wish, and I'm pretty sure this wasn't Minnesota, but there was a state and they were having some real issues because of their voter restrictions and something to do with absentee. I can't remember what it was. But Minnesota's pretty,
Mark does a lot of research, and then he forgets.
it was just, I just came, just as we were talking, it came up to me because I knew it was a big issue. And something about you had to,
Yeah, I believe Wisconsin has eliminated like drop boxes
Yeah.
Right,
to
yeah, okay,
deposit your absentee ballot, and but no, Minnesota will continue to have drop boxes. So
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and that was kind of one small issue with ours. We could go to a Dropbox or we could mail it,
yeah,
and we chose to mail it. And at our property, we can just put it out on the mailbox, and the carrier will take it. And it's like you kind of have to be, you have to wait for that response from the state to say, "Hey, we got your vote."
Mm-hmm.
And if we send a mail, it's like, okay, hope it gets there in time. Hope it gets there in time.
And the good thing is you can track your ballot on the Secretary of State's site
Yeah.
as well now.
Right.
So you can kind of make sure it is received
Right.
by see, yeah.
Right.
Leaving it out there and being like, I hope
Yeah.
it gets there. But
Well-
we encourage everyone to do it like as early as possible.
Right, right.
Early voting starts September 23rd.
Okay.
And we can do absentee voting as early as that.
And for a lot of people that don't understand early voting, is it usually like at your local city hall, or how does it set up there?
Yeah, you could vote early, so by mail, so that's absentee.
Right.
We usually call absentee, and then vote early in person. I think it changes, so you would have to
Yeah, I think it kinda-
look online to. I
Right.
went, yeah, for
Yeah, because
each
when I did early
district, yeah.
voting, and we went to because Jordan's in Scott County,
Right.
so you had to go to the county,
Election office.
yeah, county.
But a lot of
election.
times I live in Inver Grove Heights, and you can go to the city hall in
Right.
Inver Grove Heights, or you can go to the Dakota County Service Center in West St. Paul. So there's usually a couple
Options.
of
Yeah, a couple
options.
places
Uh-huh.
to go in and do the early voting.
Brooklyn Center, where I'm at, it is set up at the city hall for the early voting, so that encourages people to go in and.
But another project of Rev Up MN
Yeah.
is that we're in the process of trying to set up 9 nonpartisan candidate forums.
Okay.
And so we looked at trying to have at least one Senate district candidate forum, legislative candidate forum but in each of Minnesota's 8 congressional districts, so that we would have some geographic balance. And so far we've confirmed 7 of those events, and like the first one we have coming up on September 27th will be Senate District 4 in Moorhead.
Okay.
And then on October 5th, we'll be doing Senate District 35, which is Anoka. And on October 6th, we'll be doing Senate Districts 62 and 63, which are South Minneapolis.
Oh.
And then on October 18th, we'll be doing Senate District 8, which is in Duluth. And then October 26th, we'll be doing Senate District 56, which is in the Apple Valley area.
Okay.
And then on November 1st, we'll be doing 2 of them. One is Senate District 18, which is in the kind of North Mankato area.
Okay.
And then immediately following that forum, we'll have another one in Senate District 24, which is in Rochester. Okay. And so we'll have a link to a document that has the whole list of our candidate forums, and each one will have a separate Zoom registration, so there'll be a link to how you can sign up for those.
Is there a website that people can go to get this information?
Yeah, right now, the best place to look for it would be the Rev Up MN Facebook page.
Okay.
So if you go to the search engine for Facebook and just type in Rev Up, yeah,
Okay.
REV space UP space MN. You will immediately find the Rev Up MN Facebook page. But a lot of our agencies like the Arc of Minnesota and stuff will have that information too on their social media sites and that sort of thing.
So, like with Lutheran Social Services, you would have a similar link on your Facebook, or how do you
Yeah, we're
how do
gonna
you
be,
promote it?
Yeah, well, we'll promote this Senate District 4, right, on our Twitter, Facebook,
Okay.
and just across social media.
And what's the Twitter handle?
I double check that, but I'm guessing LSSMN.
Okay,
Yeah.
quick challenge there. Quick
Yeah.
challenge.
They're pretty consistent across all their social media.
So yeah, so in the ones you've gotten, you've hit some really popular or population centers. So, do you ever get any feedback though from like the more rural areas? Like, what about us?
Well, that's why we did it by, congressional districts, so that we would try and, get outside the metro area and cover the entire state. So, the two we're still working on that we haven't quite gotten the commitment from the candidates, but hope to, is St. Cloud area, Senate
Sure.
District 13. And Senate District 47, which is in Woodbury.
Okay.
But we're trying to have these all around the state in as many districts as we could sort of
Yeah, be informed. I
manage
mean,
and-
exactly. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we are running out of time.
Yeah.
But I want to thank our guests, Jean and Jeru, and Mark. In closing words here.
Get out, get informed, and then vote.
Exactly.
Vote, vote, vote.
Well, no, you can't do it more than once.
No, that's true too. Sorry. Just get out there and vote.
Vote more than once, you get in trouble.
Right, exactly.
So, I'm Charlie Rose. That's Mark Knutson. And again, thank you to Jean and Jeru. You've been watching Disability Landscape. We'll see you next time.